Now in last week's video, you remember that we built this, our router table. And it works fine, but there are a few things that we can do to improve it. And again, it's just going to be from scraps. It's not going to cost us anything. It's just from bits and pieces around the workshop. Now, obviously, I may have a few more bits and pieces than the hobbyist, because obviously this is my business and I have an awful lot of gubbins laid around the place. Now, after I built this, I was sitting in the house and I remembered that when I was an apprentice in our joiner shop, we had something similar to this, which is really called a spindle moulder. And on that spindle moulder, we had a device that kept the material pushed down to the bed so it didn't sort of rise up. And that was basically a metal rod that came up from the back of the fence, another metal rod that came across over the top of the fence, another metal rod that came down on top of the material but had a wooden foot on the bottom, so it was pressed down to the bed. Also, it had what we call now a featherboard, which is something that comes in from the front and pushes the material up against the fence. So not only do we have this device pushing it down to the bed, another device pushing it against the fence, so the material that you're trying to get a moulding on shouldn't wander too much. Also, one of my subscribers suggested to put a piece of material across the top of where the dust extraction hole is. He said that will increase the suction. So we're going to try that too. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to put some wings on the bottom of the base so we can clamp it down to the bench, because if you're using it, the last thing you want to happen is for it to move around. You want it clamped in place and to be firm. So that's what we're going to do this week. So the first thing we're going to make is the hold down foot that comes up from the back of the fence. For this, we've made a little block which the dowel that we're going to use fits into quite snugly. So the next thing to do is to screw this down to the back of the fence. So that's good, and that goes on to there. Now you may be saying to yourself, well, how is that adjustable? It's far too tight. And it is, but this is what you do to make it adjustable. So what we've done is we've cut from the edge into the circle that we took out, and we've put a screw in. So now it'll fit onto there, and if we want to tighten it, we just tighten the screw up, and that will tighten it up around that. So the next thing to do is to drill another hole through for this rod to come through in front of the fence. So we've made this piece, which is the foot, and it's going to go there. We've put a piece on the bottom, we've rounded it. That is so that whatever we put through doesn't get caught on the lip, it's guided underneath by that rounded section. So all we need to do now is to put that into there, and there we go. A much simplified hold down, but it should be effective. The next thing to make is the featherboard. Slam. So there we go, 2 holes for a featherboard. Now the featherboard itself is going to be like this. It's a little bit different, but because the featherboard by its very name is supposed to have, like, well, feathers, I don't know, but this is going to go there, one bolt through there, with the doodad, with the nut underneath, and then that keeps everything out of the way while material is being run through. Have to get another bolt to keep it steady. Ein Moment mal. Okay, so there we go. Talk about homemade, but there you go, that is homemade. We've put the little cover on to see if the suction from the router blade is any better when we use it. The only thing left now to do is to put the wings on at the bottom, and then we can clamp it down. I think we've gone as far as we can with this one. We've got wings on the bottom, we've got a featherboard, and we've got a hold down foot, and we've got a shield to improve the suction. The only thing now is to give it a go. That seems straight. So I think that is a success. So there we go. We've made ourselves a moulding machine, a table router, and we've got all the accessories that we need. And again, it's all made of scraps. So it's cost us absolutely nothing. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you next week for something else. See you later.